Tonight, we celebrate the opportunity to hear and applaud 5 showcase speakers from our Communication 1020 public speaking classes for the spring semester 2015. A little more than 2 years ago, an administrative change was made in the Department of Communication. More than 60 sections of public speaking is taught each academic year at Weber State University. An intent was established to host an event to showcase the skills of our Communication 1020 public speakers. This is an event that will take place each fall and spring semester. I have taught at other institutions where this kind of activity is done. The experience, the thrill, and the benefits of being a showcase speaker, like the 5 that we shall hear tonight, is a grand accomplishment. And it certainly has a tremendous amount of good feelings, does it not? It does. Earlier this semester, representatives from the Department of Communication attended the Utah Campus Compact. With the encouragement of Dr. Brenda Kovalevsky, we presented our ideas of community-engaged learning within public speaking. And through these courses, we showed other state and private colleges and universities how we are doing this. I am pleased to report that although Weber State is a latecomer in regard to speech showcases, we are presently the only institution that actively organizes the placement of students in our community. 9 Weber State University 1020 public speakers have engaged in the democratic process, delivering speeches to the Ogden City Council, deliberative democracy, and local business organizations. A classroom is a fake audience, so said Dr. Kyle Reyes last February to a number of Weber State University faculty and administrators. True engagement of the democratic process is when our students enter the public at large to speak, hence the fulfillment of Weber Speaks. So may we now please have the video that was created by the Ogden City Council in association with Weber Speaks. This will only take approximately 2 to 3 minutes.
Communication skills are critical in all areas of life, especially in government. The Weber Speaks program is designed to give communication students practical experience applying their knowledge in a city council meeting. It also provides the city council and mayor with the opportunity to hear the views of an important group in our community, the student population.
Students hone their communication skills while gaining first-hand experience engaging in the democratic process. Each semester, up to 6 students are selected to present before the Ogden City Council, and the City Council selects which topic those students are going to address.
The information students present provides invaluable insight on topics that are pertinent to the city. Following each speech, the council members and the mayor may ask questions or make comments. This is a great opportunity for us to engage with the students.
The speeches will be given under the request to be on the agenda portion of the meeting, and then it will be broadcast online and on the dedicated television station, Channel 17. We encourage our students to take advantage of the Weber Speaks program, and we encourage them to become involved with other city events as well.
Students are always welcome to express their opinions during the public comments period of any regular city council meeting and make comments on topics the council is considering during public hearings. The city is also involved in several events on Weber State's campus, including Talk of the Town meetings, held periodically to discuss college-town related issues. We value the important information Weber State students and faculty provide us and are excited to continue building upon our incredible partnership.
Okay, let us now recognize our Weber Speaks and Showcase speakers. Please stand and remain standing as your name is called. Audience, please hold your applause until the list of Weber Speaks award recipients is complete. Jocelyn Adams, Anna Caceres Maldonado, Kara Dar. Turn around, ladies. Okay, thank you. Brandon Goodrich, Don Goss, Brandon Heyer, Brady Libby, Alexa Peterson, and Haley Waldbillig. Please give them a round of applause. Please stand and remain standing as your name is called. And audience, please hold your applause until the list of Speech Showcase semifinalists, award recipients is complete. Patricia Dancliffe, Kenneth Gordon, Mosiah Gonzalez, Tyson Jex, Richard Mickelson, Christopher Montoya, Jericho Pineda, Mike Rose, Jason Squire, Rhett Stedman, Brennan West. Please give them a round of applause. Okay, please have a seat now. Okay, don't worry, we'll be getting the awards out. Okay. During the selection Saturday, 3 speakers performed so well that a category of honorable mention was created. These 3 speakers will receive an additional cash award thanks to Adrian Andrews and the Center for Diversity. Thank you. Please stand and remain standing as your name is called. And audience, please hold your applause until the list of the honorable mention award recipients is complete. Bree Snelson, Matthew Wilkinson, Delaney Woodfield. Please give them a round of applause. We shall now hear from our Speech Showcase finalists. Olivia Shaw is a sophomore from Boise, Idaho. Her major is criminal justice and hopes to pursue a career in law enforcement. Olivia?
Who in here has ever fired a gun before? Hands up way high. All right, quite a few guys. Whoever has, just raise your hand. Who has taken an official gun safety class? Raise your hands. Okay, so a few less. Who thinks they can name all the basic principles of gun safety? I'm going to guess probably not very many of you. So there's 4 basic principles of gun safety. Number 1 is keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Number 2 is treat every weapon as if it's loaded at all times. Number 3 is be aware of what your target is and what's beyond. And 4th is never point your firearm at anything you're not willing to destroy. So I have a few videos I'm going to show you. This first is of an officer-involved shooting, and I just want you to pay attention to the left side of the screen. You're going to be able to just barely make out the front end of the gun, so I just want you to pay close attention to that area, all right? Okay, go ahead. Rule number 1, keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. So until you know exactly what your target is and you make a conscious decision to fire at it, keep your finger off of the trigger. All right, this next video I have of you, it's of a DEA agent, and he's teaching a class to some students. And I won't say anything more about it right now. I'll just let you watch.
Too short. All of them talk about Glock 40. Okay, I'm the only one in this room professional enough that I know of to carry this Glock 40. I'm the only one.
Okay, so what did he do wrong? A few things, right? So 1, he had his finger on the trigger when he shouldn't have. And rule number 2 is treat every firearm as if it's loaded at all times. So accidents happen and you need to be extra careful. So he obviously did not treat that firearm as if it was loaded, and he ended up shooting himself in the foot if he didn't catch on to that. Okay, so rule number 3 is be aware of what your target is and what's beyond it. So you're responsible for anything that you hit, even if you hit your target and it goes through and onto something else. So my uncle was the first one who taught me this rule, and we're out on his farm and we were shooting prairie dogs and had one lined up in my sights, and I asked him, like, can I shoot it? He said, well, take a breath, look up, what's around you? I'm like, well, there's a field. He said, okay, is there anything in the field? Well, yeah, there's some cows way out there. He's like, okay, so what if you miss? So you need to be careful of not only what your target is, but what's beyond your target. And you need to make sure that you keep checking your surroundings, because something that wasn't there at first when you first looked might have come into your surroundings. So you always need to make sure you're looking and being careful. All right, and the final rule is never point your firearm at anything you're not willing to destroy. So you always want to point your firearm in a safe direction. Usually that's going to be straight down or straight up. So I see this all the time on the gun range. I shoot pistols a lot, and you'll see something will happen, they'll get a malfunction or a jam, and now they're trying to fix it, and they're not paying attention, and now all of a sudden they're pointing it at the guy next to them or at themselves. So when using a firearm, you need to make sure you know exactly where you're pointing it at all times, because accidents do happen, as we saw. Okay, so one more time, because I don't want any of you guys to forget, the 4 basic principles of gun safety are: number 1, keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Number 2, treat every firearm as if it's loaded at all times. Number 3, be aware of what your target is and what's beyond your target. And 4th, never point your firearm at anything you're not willing to destroy. So finally, I urge all of you who have guns or friends and family members who have or use guns to go take a gun safety class.
All right, so there is a threat in Ogden, one which each of you encounter pretty much every single day, and very few of you ever even realize it. You can't run from it, and you can't hide from it, not even in your homes. But that's not the worst part about this threat. The worst part about this threat is we're responsible, because we've created it. It's air pollution. We're responsible for this oppressive smokescreen that keeps some individuals completely captive on certain days throughout the year. So what do? We just live with it? We accept that we've done this and we continue living the same way? Or do we maybe take up a different job in a different county, move our kids, change schools? You might be thinking, is it even that big of a deal? Well, I'm here to tell you that your zip code matters more than your genetic code. And what I mean by that is environmental factors have much larger effects than we ever realize, sometimes in the smallest ways possible. It literally changes your DNA, and not for the better, to be clear. It has even gone so far to be proven that it affects prenatal neurodevelopment. So it's affecting our unborn children. It can cause upper respiratory irritation, and in some rare cases, even chronic heart or lung disease. So it's pretty safe to say that it's a big deal. And our city is known as one of the worst in the nation, top 5 to be exact. According to the federal website of Air Quality Control, September 23rd, 2013, our air quality index was 127, compared to San Francisco's 64 and Las Vegas's 23. Huge difference. So it affects everybody in this room, it affects everybody on this campus, and it especially affects you if you're living here in the city. Your parents, your grandparents, whoever lives here, it affects them. But it doesn't have to be a big deal. And there's a few small things we can do to go about changing this air. So let's talk about those few small things, okay? Taking the bus for inner city travel. As a student, you can get a bus pass completely free at the Shepherd Union Building information desk. That bus pass can also be used on the Front Runner or tracks in Salt Lake City. So you can go as far as Provo or Orem completely free without causing any additional pollution. Now I know what you might be thinking, and it's what most people think. I don't have enough time to take the bus. I'm too busy. I've got too much work. I've got too much homework. Well, I can tell you my father took the bus for 2 years straight, works 40 hours a week, and he's in theater, which consumes all of his other time. And he took the train for 2 years straight down to Salt Lake and back every single day. And he told me himself that it's given him more time than it's ever taken. It's given him time to work on any homework or any additional work that he has at work. Maybe it's even given him time to relax, which isn't something we get much these days. So the second form of transportation we'll talk about, riding your bike. On a beautiful day like we had today, I personally like riding my bike. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I don't like it. I'm not in shape, and it's not something I enjoy. But it is something I do because it's good for the environment. Now, Ogden isn't super bike friendly. There's a lot of big hills. So you can pair it with the bike racks that buses have on the front of them and travel pretty much anywhere in the city pretty easily. Now you might be thinking, that's not entirely convenient for me. Well, each one of these red dots represents a bus stop in Ogden. And if that's not convenience, then you'll never find convenience. Okay? So let's talk about the third step. Maybe you live pretty far outside of Ogden. Maybe the bus that does come to Ogden from your town doesn't work for you, or maybe there isn't a bus that comes here at all. Well, there's one other option. It's called carpoolworld.com. Cheesy website name, but it's effective. It gets the point across. Other individuals who are looking to carpool, looking for other commuters, go on there and they can find them very simply. It's a very easy website to use, 100% free. And when I went on there for about 10 minutes, I found 20 different individuals commuting into Ogden from various places throughout the state. So you can get to where you want to go, and you can save money doing it. Now that's just one benefit for you immediately, right? Let's look at some of the other benefits globally, okay? So let's take a little bit of a visual journey. Imagine for a moment you park at the top of 29th Street, at the base of 29th Street trailhead. You're gonna hike Waterfall Canyon. Now you've heard that it's not that bad of a hike, but it's your first time. You've heard it's steep, but it's not very long. So you've come prepared. You've got the right shoes, you've got water, you've got snacks. You're careful of each step you take, and every branch that you grab is just a tool to pull you up this steep terrain. Now, finally, you achieve your goal, you get to the top, and you see this beautiful waterfall. And you think, wow, that is exactly what I expected. That's what everyone said it is. But you've also heard that there's another side to this, that the view is incredible as well. So you turn around to look out at the valley below. Is that what you were expecting? Now you all know how bad Ogden's air pollution is. And it's something we've all seen on those bad days. But is it something that affects us enough to change? I'm here to urge you to change. One little thing. Go to work or school one time in the week using one of the three forms of transportation I talked about. Bus, bike, or carpooling. If you can do that, we can drop air pollution in Ogden by 20%. If we could do it 2 days, 40%. Let's start small. Let's go with 1 day. That's all I'm asking. Because you can do 1 day and maintain the lifestyle you want, right? Because what we want is a healthier future for our children. What we want is our city not to be known for its air pollution, but we want to be known for our beautiful scenery and our great trailheads. What we want is to be free from this dictating smokescreen.
Chad Colby is an athletic therapy major with the intent to become a physical therapist. His hometown, Ogden, Utah. They're getting his PowerPoint pulled.
There? You good? Okay. Does it work? Okay. All righty. By raise of hands, how many in here are married or would like to be married one day? All right. And of those of you that raised your hand, I'm assuming that majority of you would like those marriages to last, correct? Yeah. Okay. So what I want to talk to you guys today about is something that plays a role in 56% of divorces. What do you think it is? Just a couple answers real quick. Money. Communication. Children. Cheating. All right. We're going to watch a quick clip, and we'll find out what it is.
You know, I didn't see like the threat. I didn't see the danger. It robbed us. It totally robbed us.
I had no idea that we had like this poisonous ingredient in our marriage.
It really took me by surprise. It really blindsided me. It started pretty innocently. One thing led to another, and you get into obscene territory pretty quick. I had no idea what it was doing to me, though.
I don't know how to describe other than it was an eye-opener for me to realize how much of an addiction this actually can be. I could tell the difference that it had made in my perception and my thinking that were absolutely identical to the challenges I had with drugs.
Alrighty, so what plays a role in 56% of divorces? Who's going to shout it out? Pornography, exactly. I'm going to talk to you guys today about pornography and the dangers of it. First, how it destroys families. Second, how it is a drug and how it can be addicting. And lastly, other aspects of your life that it can affect. As we see here with this statistic, it really makes an impact in marriages. So we're going to talk about how it is a drug. Does anybody, real quick, know how any sort of addiction happens? You enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, it starts off, you take it once and you like it, and you have to take it again and again to get that same high. Pretty soon, you're rewired to think that your body actually needs this in order to be happy. Same thing happens with pornography, and I'll tell you how. You view those pornographic images or those videos, they go in through your eyes, into your brain releases chemicals like dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and your brain likes it. You're like, I want some more of this. And so you look at those images, but pretty soon those same images don't give you that same high. So you have to look at more hardcore versions of it. And pretty soon your brain is rewired to think this is something you need in your life to be happy. And that is an addiction. Your brain tricking you to think you need something to be happy that you don't actually need. Pornography is a drug, and it can be addicting. And so to kind of illustrate my point a little bit more here, I've got some famous people that are going to help me out. First off, who knows who this is? The Old Spice guy, Terry Lewis. He talked about how it affected his intimacy in his marriage. He said that you can't live in two worlds, meaning his fantasy world that he had and the real world in which he lived in. I was getting further and further from my wife. It is an intimacy killer. It just started building a wall between us. Second, Rashida Jones from Parks and Rec and The Office, for those of you that watch that, she talked about the dangers of actually being in the videos or in the pornographic pictures themselves. She said that they're not considering the real cost, the psychological cost, the physical cost, and the emotional cost. The trauma it causes to your body to have sex for a living is a real thing. And lastly here, we've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt, good-looking guy. He just recently directed a movie in which his main character was a pornography addict. And he said this about his main character. He finds that dating is dissatisfying because when he finds someone and decides to take them home, he's comparing them to a list that he's created in his mind of the things that he likes out of watching pornographic videos. The last example I want to show you guys is this handsome man right here. Who knows who this is? It's Ted Bundy. Why is Ted Bundy famous? He's a serial killer. You might ask, how does this correlate? In Ted Bundy's last interview before he was executed, he was asked, if you could trace your behaviors back to one specific event, what would it be? And he said, when I was 12 years old, I came across my first pornographic magazine. And from then on, those images weren't enough for me. And I had to go to more hardcore versions until eventually pictures and videos weren't enough, which led to him raping and killing women. So please, take it from somebody who was exposed to pornography when they were 13 years old. This is real. Not everybody who looks at pornography is going to end up like Ted Bundy. I'm not saying that. This is obviously an extreme case. But I can tell you, pornography destroys marriages and relationships. Pornography is a drug, and it can be addicting. And pornography affects your life in negative ways. There's no good thing that comes from pornography. So for those of you who may be viewing pornography and not seeing it as such a bad thing, please rethink that. Know that you can quit. and know that your life can be so much more fulfilling when you do. For those of you that have viewed pornography before but no longer do, keep it up. Don't go back. It's a poison. It's horrible. It's awful. And for those of you that have never viewed pornography before, stay away. Avoid it like the plague, because that's exactly what it is.
Caleb Heater has a bachelor's degree in athletic training and is now taking classes to fulfill his dream of being a physician in the United States Air Force, a branch of the military he joined in 2008. Caleb's hometown is Layton, Utah.
A few weeks ago, I had dinner at a place called Scrud's Gourmet Burgers down on 25th Street. Some of you may have been there. I was seated there next to a group of young ladies who appeared to be having what was their version of a good time. They were laughing, joking, sharing pictures and stories, but not with each other. Instead, each of them was completely engrossed in a social media page brought to them by their cell phones. With their entire consciousness wrapped up in a virtual reality, they missed everything the real world had to offer them. Now, in a statistical report published by Mary Madden on pewinternet.org, 78% of young adults in the US own their own cell phones, with roughly half of those being smartphones, the kind that have access to social media. 1 in 4 report having similar access via tablet devices, and 93% report accessing social media via home computers. What's more, in a study published in the 2012 Journal of Developmental Psychology by Dr. Roy P., it was shown that we are spending, as Americans, roughly 7 hours a day per person in social media. To put that in a little perspective for you, if you compare that with what you will see on the Bureau of Labor Statistics website, bls.gov, that's more than us average college students spend in school per day. That's more than we spend at work per day. And for some of us choice individuals, that's more than both combined. Now, there are those that will tell you that this is no big deal, that rather, since we live in a digital age, this is just how we communicate. What's the big deal? What they fail to realize is that this has serious effects on the person. For instance, from Dr. P's study, we find that this level of participation in social media results in negative effects on your sleep. It negatively affects your ability to develop intimate relationships with your peers, and most negatively impacted your ability to communicate face-to-face. Additionally, a study by Dr. Gwen O'Keefe in the 2011 Journal of the American Academy of Pediatrics, it was demonstrated that this much time spent in social media has the exact same effects and symptoms as clinical depression, namely substance abuse, unsafe sexual practices, and social isolation. In short, our use of social media is making us less social. It's degrading real-world human interactions, and in so doing, it's creating a generation of people who are uncomfortable socially, who are likely depressed, and who are incapable of communicating with someone in the same room unless it's via a text. Weber speaks. Now, despite the complexity of this issue, the solution is painfully simple. We must disconnect from social media and reconnect with the people around us. The solution is intentionally twofold, involving both the reduction of our time spent online while replacing that with more communal engagement. Any effort towards either of these ends will have near immediate results. Kiran Khalid, who is a journalist for CNN.com, wrote a piece titled "A Social Media Addict Tries to Disconnect," in which she detailed her experience leaving social media. After just 4 days, she reported being more aware of her surroundings, that she was less stressed and anxious, able to get more sleep, that she spent more time with her friends and her family. And here's the kicker. She finally felt comfortable devoting her full and undivided attention to those people. This can be your experience too. In fact, Alex Cavalauco, who's the founder of the Daily Muse, wrote a piece for Forbes.com in which he described a few strategies that will help the chronically connected to disconnect. I feel that they bear repeating to you this evening, and so this is my suggestion to you. One, in order to disconnect, delete your social media applications from your phones and make a habit of leaving those phones on silent with disabled notifications. We do not need to be hounded by those things 24/7. Those messages, those notifications, they will all be there when you find a more appropriate time to check them later. Second, in order to reconnect with the people you love, proactively plan activities with those people that are non-device friendly. Activities where it's hard to check your Facebook page and participate. Finally, for a list of these types of activities and for more strategies that will help you to disconnect, I urge you to go to theworldunplugged.wordpress.com. I promise each of you that if you will enact and use these strategies, you will be enabled to cultivate long-lasting and fulfilling relationships. The type of relationships that are the essence of what it means to be a real-world human being.
Jillian Quilter is a junior from Kaysville, Utah. Her major is physics, to teach physics, and she wants to teach high school physics. Jillian.
When my younger brother was 17 years old, he went through a very difficult and very painful surgery. They broke and shortened his jaw in order to correct the alignment of his teeth. Recovery was long and painful, not only physically, but also emotionally. He was informed before the surgery that it would change the appearance of his chin, and it did quite significantly. Now, it took my brother months of struggle before he was able to accept and become comfortable with his new appearance. And while he did not sink into any kind of depression due to the change in his appearance, his struggle opened my eyes to the dangers of going under the knife purely for cosmetic reasons. In other words, plastic surgery. I'd like to talk about these dangers with you today, specifically the increased risk of depression that follows plastic surgery. But before I do so, let me paint a picture for you of plastic surgery in America today. What's going on? Why does it deserve our attention? And why does it need immediate remediation? According to the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, since the year 2000, there has been a 45% increase in breast augmentation procedures, a 72% increase in breast lifts, and a 235% increase in butt lifts. Now this is just the beginning. Since the year 2000, there has been a 3,579% increase in lower body lifts, and the most shocking of all, a 4,337% increase in upper arm lifts. This is an epidemic. If these rates of increase continue, it won't be long before there is not a soul in America who has not had a lift or tuck of some sort. And there will not be a soul in America who is not struggling with this increased risk of depression. According to researchers Honigman, Phillips, and Castle from the National Institute of Health, most people seeking cosmetic surgeries are psychologically healthy. However, some are not, and for these individuals, plastic surgery may have a negative outcome, creating problems for both patient and surgeon. Problems encountered by the patient can lead to requests for repeated procedures, depression and adjustment problems, social isolation, familial dysfunction, anger, and self-destructive behaviors. Now, though these researchers refer specifically to those who are not psychologically healthy when they go under the knife, those who are psychologically healthy also face an increased risk of depression. For example, a woman may receive a rhinoplasty, a nose job, hoping that her new appearance is going to land her a promotion at work, save a relationship, or fix all of her self-esteem and confidence issues. And when and if these results do not come to pass, she now faces the very real risk of sinking into depression. It's clear from this issue alone that we need to work to lower the rates of plastic surgery in our country and stop this epidemic in its tracks. However, before we do so, we need to know what's causing it. Why are these rates so high? There are many causes of plastic surgery, and I'm going to discuss only 2 of them with you today. One of them will be fashion magazines, and the other is the culture that permeates our schools. Fashion magazines portray unrealistic standards of beauty. We've all seen it. According to authors Rottenberg and Winchell, the average American model is 5'10" and weighs 110 pounds. These are the female models. The average American female is 5'4" and weighs 144 pounds. That makes the average model at least 30 pounds lighter and 6 inches taller than the average female looking at her, and that is significant. Now, what effect are these magazines having on our youth who are reading them? Well, researchers Field, Chung, and Wolf from the American Academy of Pediatrics conducted a study to answer that exact question. They found that 69% of the young girls who participated in their study said that magazines helped shape their idea of the perfect body type, and 47% said that because of magazine pictures, they wanted to lose weight. These magazines are having a significant effect on our youth, and the body image issues that they plant roll right over into our schools, which is the next cause I'll discuss with you. Now, in junior high and high school years, students seek and need acceptance from their peers in order to develop healthy confidence and self-esteem. Unfortunately, at this age, acceptance is largely and sometimes solely based on appearance. Those who are traditionally beautiful are accepted and enjoy popularity among their peers. Those who are less traditionally beautiful experience rejection and isolation, and the body image issues that were planted by fashion magazines begin to solidify. Now, when these girls grow up and have the means, what solution is available to them for their less traditional beauty? Plastic surgery. Now that we know the causes of this epidemic, there are some steps that we can all take today to help lower these rates of plastic surgery, and as I said before, stop this epidemic in its tracks. We need to stop supporting fashion magazines that promote these unrealistic body standards. Don't buy them. Don't let your children buy them. Don't let your friends buy them. Avoid the products and fashion lines that they promote. Choose to support instead magazines and other media that promote a healthy and realistic body image for young girls. We can also encourage our youth, whether they are our children, our friends, or our siblings, to value each other and themselves not based on their appearance, rather based on their inner qualities, their personalities, their unique skills and abilities, and their intelligence. In conclusion, plastic surgery has become an epidemic in our country, and the risk of depression that follows in its wake is very real. Fashion magazines need to be stopped. The culture in our schools needs to be changed, and this epidemic needs to be stopped in its tracks. And we can all work today to promote a healthier body image for the entirety of our country.
To present the honorariums to our speech showcase finalists, please welcome to the podium Weber State University President Charles White.
I want to thank you all for the privilege of allowing me to participate in the inaugural speech showcase. Thank you, Mark, for your great efforts in emceeing this event and organizing it. Thank you to the students for your hard work in preparing your presentations, to the faculty and staff for your support, and everybody in this audience for coming out to listen to the presentations that we've heard today. 150 years ago this week, America lost a great president and a gifted orator, Abraham Lincoln. And in November of 1863, Lincoln had been invited to give some welcoming remarks at Gettysburg. He wasn't the featured speaker that day. He was just giving some welcoming remarks. But he did so in a way that we will always remember. In just 271 words, Lincoln delivered an address that honored the memory of the soldiers who had fought and died and sacrificed in the Civil War to preserve the Union. It was an amazing speech, and Lincoln will always be remembered for that. Speech is powerful. Speech can be used in a destructive way, or it can be used in a very good way. Weber Speaks has allowed our students to use speech in a good way in our community through youth impact in front of the Ogden City Council, as we saw, and at the Deliberative Democracy Day. Every university exists in the context of a community, and universities have a responsibility to be leaders in their communities. But in order to do that, we must speak in ways that reach beyond the walls of the classroom. Today, we've heard speeches on difficult topics, on air pollution and technology addiction and pornography. We have serious problems in our society. And the first step to solving those problems is to speak up. And that's what you have done today. I thank you for doing it so well, and I thank you for showing the world that Weber speaks.
Stay with me here. Okay, will the 5 showcase finalists please come to the stage one more time? Sonia, please. Sonia will give you the certificates. Thank you so much, Jill. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, President White begins a tradition that will identify Weber State among our various mission statements throughout our university. Among all of the titles proffered to implement community-engaged learning in our public speaking courses, Weber Speaks was deemed most appropriate. These 2 words unite Weber State University with our municipal communities, neighborhoods, as well as our global associates. They express, much like we have seen this evening, the actions our students will demonstrate or persuade audiences to do through their speeches wherever they may travel, near or far. Weber is a noun that identifies who we are in our part of the world. Speaks is a verb that requires action. Please say these words with me with a little bit of enthusiasm. Weber speaks. Adolf Hitler said, all great world-shaking events have been brought about not by the written word, but by the spoken word. Should some fascist dictator speak words that oppress human rights, what shall we do? Weber speaks. President White, will you lead us, please?
So when an answer to a problem is needed,
Weber speaks.
Whenever conflict or justice demands resolution,
Weber speaks.
and whenever silence threatens freedom because of fear,
Weber speaks.
right on.
Finally. These proceedings are concluded. Thank you.